The final draft of the National Defense Authorization Act includes a mandate for a new national cyber director. It's one of a number of amendments pitched by the Cyberspace Solarium Commission. Senator Angus King, independent of Maine, is a co-chair of the commission. Senator King, welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining me. I recall asking you the last time we were together, Senator, how you and your colleagues on the commission would make sure that those recommendations actually became actionized rather than just becoming a report on a shelf. I note a report from Cyberscoop that says you got 26 of your recommendations in the National Defense Authorization Act out of 34 that you sought this year and 52 that are for Congress to make. It would be well within your rights, as the kids say, to dunk on me for that question, sir. How did you go about getting those recommendations into the NDAA so quickly, sir?
Well, I would never dump on you for your question, Francis. That was a good question and a very legitimate one, given the track record of a lot of commissions. If we were a Major League Baseball player, we'd be holding out for a big contract next year based on our percentage. It was a lot of work. I think the commission, and I give a great deal of credit to the staff, made a decision early on that we were not only going to present recommendations to Congress, we were going to give them fully drafted bills in legislative language. So instead of leaving them to do the work, we did it for them and said, here's the proposal, here's the language, all you got to do is say yes. And of course, there were amendments and there was a lot of work that went into it. But basically, we made that work easy for them. It also helped, Francis, that 3 of the 4 legislative members, Jim Langevin in the House, Mike Gallagher, who's my co-chair, and myself, were all on our respective armed services committees. So that helped us to work with those important committees, since the vehicle, the bill that we were aiming for is the National Defense Act, which, by the way, we just voted through on Friday. So this is a big deal, and it was a heck of a lot of work. I'll give you one flavor. I'll give you one anecdote. In order to get those recommendations into the bill, we had to get 180 clearances from both sides of all kinds of committees on Capitol Hill, both houses, in order to make that happen. So it was really a monumental undertaking. And again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. I give a huge amount of credit to the staff for the work that they did with the staffs of the committees. And then, they'd call us in when we needed an extra push. But I'm very proud of what we've achieved.
Senator, the most high profile of these recommendations that we've talked about on a number of occasions, both on the Sunday edition and the weekday edition of this program, is the creation of the job that I mentioned at the beginning, the National Cyber Director. Set that one aside for a moment. Are there others of these that you think can have a potential tremendous impact on the way that the executive branch does cybersecurity very quickly?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Francis, and I think we're going to be working on continuing the work. I mean, there's some that we didn't get in, but for example, there's a provision in that requires continuity of the economy planning. We have programs for continuity of government, but in a case of a catastrophic cyber attack, we're going to need continuity of the economy. I think the best way I can put it is, and I didn't coin this, someone else said it, if you add together all the provisions that are in this bill, this National Defense Act also is the most important piece of cyber legislation ever passed in this country. It is well on the way to helping us to prepare for and prevent, I think that's important to add, prevent cyber attacks.
You're right, 26 of 52 is an impressive batting average. That means there are still 26 that you have to work on next year and in years out. What are some of the most important ones of those, and what would you like to see the Biden administration undertake regarding cybersecurity beyond the implementation, the selection of a candidate, of a nominee to become the National Cyber Director?
Well, I'm not going to let you slide over implementation so fast. One of my mottos of life, Francis, is that execution is as important as vision. And we've provided the vision, but the execution is critically important. So working with the new administration on execution, for example, who is going to be the first National Cyber Director? Very important provision. But one of the things that isn't in the bill that we want to work on next year is a recognition of the international dimension of this problem. this is not just a national problem. This is a worldwide problem. And so one of our recommendations is the creation of a new Assistant Secretary of State for Cyber, whose job it will be to work with international organizations, international bodies, setting standards, norms, guardrails for cyber. And for example, if there's a cyber attack from a group of individuals or a country, multilateral sanctions are much more effective than unilateral, just America-only sanctions. So that's an example of where the international cooperation is so important. And we want somebody at the State Department who gets up every morning thinking, how are we going to advance the cause of cybersecurity worldwide? And that's, I think, one of our most important recommendations that hasn't yet hit the Congress.
Senator King, 30 seconds left. Chris Painter, who did a similar job in the State Department during the Obama administration, was on this program talking about that capacity just a week or so ago. Is that what you envision, and is that something the Biden administration could say, we like that idea and we want to just do it and not wait for Congress?
Well, I'm not sure whether they can create the position. They can certainly put someone in the State Department thinking about and working on these issues. We think it should be an Assistant Secretary of State to give it the status and the kind of the strength in order to represent the country around the world in these international discussions. So I think this is a combination where if they want to get started on it, that's great. And we're going to give them the tools to make it more effective.
Senator Angus King, thank you very much for joining me as always.
Francis, great pleasure. Talk to you later, man.